right, hey guys, I am back for part two. All right, so here you need to make sure you have 2.7 Greek Government Graphic Organizer open in a different tab. Remember that you can split your screen by hitting Alt in the two brackets that are next to the P button. So then you can have me on one half and have you on and have your open document on the other. Whatever works better for you, you can listen and then fill in as you go. You could always write down the blanks on a separate sheet of paper and add them later, whatever's going to work for you. But honestly, just listening and pausing is probably going to be the easiest way to get through this. So I'm going to take you through 2.7 Greek Government Graphic Organizer. You're going to fill in the blanks on yours and then submit when you are finished. And then anytime you have left in the period, you're going to work on your study guide. Remember, that's not due until next Wednesday, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to get a good jump on it now, and I think you'll have a little extra time. All right, so let's go ahead and look at 2.7. All right, so we're moving on to Greek government. One of the biggest things that the Greeks gave us was democracy, and we're going to start touching on that here today. All right, so let me go ahead and present this, and remember at any time, pause, fill in the blanks, and then continue on. All right, so we're going to cover kingdom, empire, or city-state, what makes a citizen, and direct versus representative democracy. All right, so first we're going to talk about a kingdom. A kingdom is a country, state, or territory ruled by a king or a queen. So I always kind of think of this as like, the king and queen in like Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty. They are like the king or queen of a kingdom. And this can be something as small as a city. It can be as big as a state or even as big as a country. All right, examples of a kingdom would be in China, India, any of those early kingdoms in Europe. All right, but a kingdom is typically ruled by a king or a queen. All right, the next one is an empire. So I always think as a kingdom is smaller than an empire. All right, so an empire is made when you take over other kingdoms. All right, so empire is many territories and people controlled by one government. All right, so this would be like if Cinderella and Prince Charming went ahead and took over, Snow White's kingdom, or that would make them then an empire. When you start conquering other places and now you're controlling them as if they are your own, you are an empire. All right, and we see this in the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, who we're going to talk about in a couple weeks, and then Alex the Great's empire, which we'll talk about a little bit after that. All right, so kingdom is ruled by one king or queen. Empire is when you're that king or queen and you take over other kingdoms and now you are the ruler of them. All right, so a city-state, all right, we've already talked about, but remember a city-state is a city that has its own independent government and often controls surrounding areas. All right, so like Athens would be a great example of this. We'll talk more about that later on. Same with Sparta. But remember, they're a city, but they're run like they're their own separate state or nation. And examples of these would be Sparta, Athens, Thebes, or Corinth. All right, so again, if you need to pause at any time to fill these in, you may, but I'm going to go ahead and continue on. All right, so what makes a citizen in ancient Greece? All right, so you have to have 5 things, all right, in order to be an ancient Greek or an Athenian citizen. 1, you have to be 18 or older, which sounds pretty familiar, right? Males only, okay? So you have to be 18 years old. You have to be a male. Your mother and father must be born in the city-state for you to be a citizen. You cannot be a foreigner, which means you couldn't be born in a different city-state, and you cannot be a slave. So 18 years or older, males only. Mother and father must be born in the city-state, not a foreigner, and not a slave. All right, so only about 1/5 of Athenians are actually considered citizens, which I think is kind of crazy if you think about it. Only 1/5 of the people living there are actually considered citizens, which means that they can participate in the government. All right, so that's what makes a citizen in ancient Greece. Next, we're going to talk about direct democracy. All right, direct democracy is what ancient Athens has. In a direct democracy, all citizens in Athens could participate directly in the government, meaning if you're a citizen, right, you have all those 5 criteria, you could participate directly in the government. And this means every little thing that goes on in your city-state. Whether you're voting on a new leader or to widen the roads or anything, everybody participates directly in the government. Each person's vote directly affects the outcome of a decision. All citizens gathered to discuss laws and to vote on them. Each vote was counted and the majority ruled. Obviously, the US is too big for a direct democracy to work. It would be impossible for US citizens to gather in one place for a vote. All right, so that's what we're looking for. So direct democracy, everybody participates directly, and that is in ancient Athens. And obviously, we can't do that here in the United States. There's way too many people. We couldn't even do that in the state of Ohio. It's just too big. So we are a representative democracy. The citizens elect officials to represent them in government. So when your parents or I or any other adult go to vote this next month, we're going to try to elect people that we think will best represent our views in the government. All right, so government officials meet to make the country's laws and to change or amend them. Americans trust their officials and allow them to vote on the issues for them. So I have a picture of our three branches, the legislative, executive, and judicial. We actually get the three branches from Rome. But again, the idea of democracy and the idea of letting the people rule themselves comes from the Greeks. All right, so what you're going to do now is go ahead and drag these. So go ahead and give your screen a pause, drag them where you think they go, all right, and come back when you have them in the right place. All right, so let's go ahead and drag these together. I got to exit out of this view. All right, so a blank is the size of a city, but is run like a separate state. This is a city-state, so that's going to go here. In ancient Athens, I have a typo. Ancient Athens was I'm going to fix this. Ancient Athens was a direct democracy because they voted on all issues. Many territories and people controlled one government is called a empire. A state, country, or territory ruled by a king or queen is called a kingdom. And then last, oops, I moved your box. That didn't work out well, huh? All right, last but not least, we're going to move kingdom here. I guess the box is just going to stay there for now. And then the United States is a representative democracy because we elect representatives to vote for us. All right, let's go to this last slide and see what you remember about what makes a citizen in ancient Greece. So you can go ahead and pause my video and go ahead to see if you can remember the 5 things that makes a citizen in ancient Greece. All right, so now that you're back, we're going to go ahead and see if you remembered. All right, so you must be male. You must be over 18. I can't see my keys. There we go. Your mother and father must have been born, in the city-state. You cannot be a foreigner, so you can't be born in a different city-state. I spelled that wrong. Spell check will get it for me. Great, spell check. There we go. All right, not a foreigner, and then not a slave. All right, and then if you remember or not, it is only 1/5 of Athenians were considered citizens. All right, so that is it for 2.7. You're going to go ahead and turn this in once you have everything filled in on your copy. And then whatever time you have left, you can start this portfolio study guide. This is just like the one we did for Unit 1. There is a slide for each of the things that we did in Google Classroom. So you're going to go to Google Classroom. You are going to, there it is. You're going to go ahead and open up 2.0. Now to get there, take a look at this. You're going to have to go to classwork. And Unit 2 is so big that we got to view more. All right, and you're going to go all the way back to the very beginning. Remember, we did this one the very last day of virtual. You're going to open this bad boy up, and then it's going to ask for the characteristics of culture. So if I open this one up, I see that the characteristics of culture are, all right, and they're right here. Okay, so I can even just highlight this, right click, I can copy it, and then move it over and put it right here. All right, so, and they just want a couple. And then 2 examples of a culture. I'm going to go back to 2.0 and I'm going to scroll here. All right, in 2 examples, you could put religious, American, ethnic groups. Again, you can copy and paste. So I'm going to grab 2. I'm going to copy those and I'm going to paste them in. Well, I'm just going to do it here because I can put religious and I'm going to put American over here. But again, you don't have to use the ones that I am. All right, so then there we go. As I go through, I'm going to go to each slide. Like this one is just a drag and drop to where these should go. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to look it up in my notes or I'm going to Google it. All right, then I'm going to play this quizzes. And you can review the vocab there. Then same thing for all the other slides, right? This is a 15-point assignment because there are 14 slides and I'm giving you 1 bonus point as like added measure, all right? 1 point for free. So you want to go through, this is not only going to give you points for completing it, but it's also going to help you review for next Wednesday's quiz. All right. So if you guys have any questions, you can shoot me an email. I will be around my computer most of the day. Other than that, you want to make sure that you turn in 2.6 from yesterday. You're going to finish up 2.7 and turn that in, and then you're going to work on your study guide. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. I think it's going to let me stop.